Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very excited to talk with Matthew Stafford. And let me tell you about Matthew. He's a mad scientist behind the data and development of BGS revenue optimization. It's a system that he has developed, as well as the revenue optimization BGS team of over 40 full-time employees. Although he won't tell you himself, he also became known as the top Shopify optimization expert in the game and spends a ton of time turning away people who want to work with him. Matt is a keen eye for impediments to the customer's journey and a great eye for interpreting the data to find the diamonds in the rough. He also can see things from a business owner's perspective, having run his own companies for the past 27 years. Almost every other expert in the e-commerce education industry has been influenced by the no BS data-driven results and insights shared by Matthew Stafford and Build, Grow, Scale. So today we are going to talk about something that those of you that watch the podcast often know I like to bring up marketing, because we as entrepreneurs always kind of skirt around marketing, and yet we want to grow and scale our business. So we're going to talk about how to make the most of your limited marketing budget. So we always start with Matthew with the easy question. Where do you live?
I live in St. Pete, Florida. I've been here just a little over a year. I moved here from Thousand Oaks, California. And
Awesome.
the only difference I wanted to say from that intro is it's Shopify, not Spotify.
Oh,
If you need any help with Spotify, I probably can't do it. I don't.
Shopify
I'm
e-commerce
not good at it.
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, we're great.
Okay. And so, as part of the introduction to you, we gave a lot of business accolades, but I also like to just talk about the journey that took you from a young man to where you are today that has influenced what you do today.
Yeah. So, it's been quite a journey. Once you get up over 50, I started to realize
I know.
I've been in the entrepreneurial journey longer than I was before I started it now. So, yeah, it actually started, I've always enjoyed working, and I just always thought it was fun to create things. And so I started with this will date me too. I sold a newspaper called True Grit, and it was a quarter. And I built that up to about $60 a week when I was a young kid, and actually saved my money for my first car. So I got a job right away. And when I turned 16, I could drive. And from there, the guy that I was working for when I graduated from high school wanted to sell his business and move into another field. So I bought that from him on like a land contract. And that was my first real introduction into running a business. And that went very well. I think first year we did like 49 grand, second year a little over 100, third year over 400. And so I sold that about 5 or 6 years in and started a concrete business, of all things. And Yeah. And so that grew very big too. That grew quite large. We were doing, I think when I sold it, we were doing right around 5 million a year. That was about 12, 13 years ago, and I've been online basically ever since. So yeah, I just tell
Wow.
everybody I went from brick and mortar to click and order.
Very good. Good tagline. So, what are the best ways to personalize the user experience when you have a e-commerce website? And I too, I'm 66, so I too know the start of e-commerce. I was there
Yeah.
in those rough days in the beginning.
Well, I hope I look as good as you at 66. So I would never have guessed that. That's awesome. Um, how is the best way to personalize? Well, the one thing, and it's going to sound silly, but you'd be shocked at how much of a shift it will make, is everybody looks at their site as how can I sell more stuff, which is obviously what we want to do. But that perspective ends up creating messy, uh, yeah, basically messy sites that don't have a lot of flow to them. And so if you switch the paradigm to I'm the customer, what information do I need in order to
Mhm.
make a buying decision, where I'm going to pull my credit card out of my wallet, fill in the fields, and trust you to send me this stuff.
Mhm.
It's a big difference. The people that look at their website to sell more stuff, um, it's usually not very well organized. It's doesn't answer the questions that the people have at the particular moment. And what I mean by that is each page on your site has a specific reason and a purpose. So
Mhm.
like your homepage is not meant to sell. It's literally meant to build trust. And do I have what you're looking for? Other than that, if you're trying to sell, which I see it all the time, people have $200-300 items on their homepage, and the button with it is quick buy or add to cart. And I always ask the store owner, I'm like, okay, so what you're telling me is um, no description, no anything. You're trying to sell me something for $200. Do I have enough information to make a buying decision? No. Okay, then why would you have quick buy or add to cart? Like that makes no sense. You're just thinking like, oh, I want them to buy the stuff. If you come from the customer's perspective, the homepage, again, did I land on the site that has what I want? Easy navigation to what I'm looking for, and do I trust them? Now, when I click on a category, I'll go to a category page that will have filters, and then I can filter it down to what I'm looking for. We found that people that use a filter, they actually convert 3 to 5 times higher
Wow.
than people that don't use a filter. Well, what can you devise from that?
Mhm.
Chances are, if they can find what they're looking for, or it's easy to find what they're looking for, they're going to convert much higher. So the fact that that helps so much tells you how poorly the site is actually set up. Um, Otherwise, people, it would be nice that they could find the things without having to use a filter, but the filters are great. Then from
Yeah.
there, you would go to the product page. That's where all your information is for a buying decision. Like we don't even put pricing on the filter page because again, they're gonna make a judgment in their head about the value of something without actually knowing the materials, how it was made, etc. And all of those things matter, especially the higher end products that you get. So all of that's taken care of on the product page. They're still browsing. We consider them a shopper once they add it to the cart. Once it's added to the cart, we're not trying to sell them a whole bunch of more stuff. We literally just want them to check out, become a client, and then we can market to them, sell them more stuff from there.
Yeah.
But so many people try to get another sale and another sale and another sale, or add these three things, and they don't realize, yeah, their average order value went up, but it's because they're making less sales because a lot of people are leaving instead of buying.
Mhm.
And so now they're just adding that to a lower number, and it looks like they're winning. that we've tested it a million times. We want it to win like that too, but it doesn't. Downstream effect of that is you have less customers and you have less people to market to.
And, in the early stages, I was a project lead for a transportation company and did work with a lot of projects that were regarding e-commerce, and some of the training and everything that I had done to be able to lead those projects, better understand the industry. They did tell you, oh, the customers only want only one click. But I agree with you that the customer has to understand what they're doing. If you have an informed customer
Yeah.
that says, all I want to do is buy this stuff, you know,
Yeah.
well, then you give them that link to take them to that page
Yeah. You just go to the
in your
product page and they
marketing.
can buy it right then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you have a cold customer or somebody that just saw something or heard from somebody that this was great, you do need to inform and educate them so they feel comfortable. So I think what you're talking about is really a great way to do this. And it is a shift from 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
again, as the industry has totally
Yeah.
changed from 20
Yeah.
years ago, obviously. So what you specialize in optimization, and so what is the most effective for an A/B testing for an e-commerce website? I love A/B testing. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for a long time we used Google's split testing tool, and they just discontinued it. So we've moved over to Visual Website Optimizer. It works very good. You can kind of drag and drop and click on things and edit them, etc., and create split tests very easy with it. Early on, Shopify wasn't as user friendly as a platform as it is now. They've continued to make things better and better and better for the store owners, which is really nice. Um, so a lot of the store owners can do it by themselves, or a lot of the, more minor things they can get done by themselves. But yeah, definitely Visual Website Optimizer is a super good tool. We use convert.com. Between those two, for sure that matters. The thing is, there's a lot of people think like, oh, I need a split test. And you do, but most people don't actually understand the metrics of split testing. So they're like, oh, well, how many conversions do I need? And on a really heavy trafficked site, it's probably a little less than a low traffic site. But we say a minimum of 7 days, because you want the entire cycle to go through to see, because there's many times that we've had tests in the first 2 or 3 days, it looked like it was a runaway winner. And by the end of the 7 days, it wasn't a winner at all. So
Yeah.
it had some, anomalies early on. And so when you call them too quick, if we would have said, oh, this one's clearly winning, we're just going to go with that, we would have, lost thousands and thousands of dollars downstream. And so for sure, understanding that, and then also knowing, like your homepage, it's going to get way more traffic than a checkout. And so a checkout might take you a month to get statistical significance, because way less people hit that page than the amount of people that hit the homepage. So there's just a bunch of different things. And one, I'll give you another example, because this is what we see done wrong a lot, is people think button color matters a lot. The button color doesn't matter a lot. Like, you can have red, green, blue, black, whatever you want. What really matters is that it's the main focus of the page. So the button should be your next most important action that you want them to take should stand out from everything else. So your buttons, if your theme is black and yellow, you don't want a black or a yellow button, because it's not going to stand out from the theme. That would be a great place for a green one or a blue one, or, something like that. We
Catches
try
their
not to
eye.
use red, because red online usually means error. And
Mm-hmm.
we have seen a little bit of, variation through that. And so, um, again, when you're testing, just know like the color is not nearly as important as that it stands out from the rest of everything else. And it's called hierarchy of focus.
What about the word that you put in your
That
button?
matters
Because
a lot. That matters much more than
mm-hmm.
much matter than the color. So, we're very specific. So we always describe what the next step on the site is. So on the filters page or the category page, we say learn more or more options. So they
Yeah.
go, oh, I want to see. It adds curiosity, not add to cart, not buy now, stuff like that. And then when you're on the product page, it says add to cart. And then in the cart, it says proceed to checkout. And in the checkout, it says um, proceed to shipping, then to payment, and then you check out. And so literally the next step, people don't want to click on something they don't know where it's taking them.
Yeah.
Like buy now, they're like, man, I just want to like see the details of it. And so they think in their head, there's this hesitation, like I'm not ready to buy yet. But because the button says buy now, people don't realize that that actually hurts conversions of the site.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, sometimes I think web designers or customers don't think, or clients don't think like the customer.
Right.
Definitely have to just kind of recall, okay, what's works for you. But the other bad thing is, I found is whenever I worked with highly technical people that built websites all the time, and it made perfect sense for them. It was totally logical for them to do these things, and they didn't put on their customer hat that had no idea about the technology, doesn't like technology, and needed that step-by-step instructions that you were just describing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even for us in the beginning, it was a lot of trial and error. But over time, the more and more things that we said no to, the better we got at optimizing the website. And yeah, honestly, I don't think that we've tracked it for the last 3 or 4 years, but we were over 400 million 4 years ago. So I know like now, it's got to be up in that 800, 900 million
Wow.
have gone through our cart. So we have a set of best practices that work all the time. And then that's kind of like our base. And then from there, we start testing things.
So I'm sure you work with different levels of businesses in terms of where they are in their development, their growth.
Yeah.
Whenever you talk to them about their marketing budget, and some is limited, some is like it's just me, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to the audience about, you know, what you would start with if you weren't a mega large company, or even, a mid-sized company, but a small business owner or entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What type of budget would you recommend they start with? And maybe also just take it a step further. What do you do to interview them to know, to advise them on what they should do?
Yeah. So it's my feelings about advertising. If they're already up and running and they're a profitable business or even break even, um, you should not lose money until you know your metrics really well. So if you have a product that they buy once every 4 or 5 years, then you have to be profitable on the front end, and you know that. Like you can't sell it for a loss, hoping they're going to come back in 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, the dollar amount is really relative because if you're selling a $3,000 item, you might have to spend $1,000 a sale.
Mm-hmm.
If you're spending, a $70 or $80 average order value, you probably got to spend 40 or $50. And so the goal is, one, you need to know what your customer acquisition cost is. Like, what does it actually
Mm-hmm.
cost to acquire a
Right.
customer? How many times do they buy on average, and how often? And so once you know those, that's really the only way that I could give you a good answer on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because uh, the other thing is, I don't think the best way to brand your company is to make a lot of sales. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you can afford to go, if you have an $80 item, it costs you, and you got $20 in the item, then all the other stuff, if it costs you $60 to acquire the customer and you break even, but they're going to come back and buy from you monthly, perfect. I would do that all day
Yeah.
long.
Right.
I would spend that $60. I don't care if I make money on the first sale. But
Mm-hmm.
so you just got to know the life cycle of your product, what type of things you offer, what's the demographic, price point, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Knowing your customer is really important. And as your business grows, and your products perhaps expand, would you recommend that they look at all of those things again, you know, continually, I guess,
Yeah.
evaluate, is this spend still where it needs to be, or what should we do differently?
Yeah, that's I'm in all honesty, every one of our partner stores, that's a weekly conversation. So the advertising is really what drives e-commerce. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't figured out the advertising, it's going to be very difficult to scale unless you have a built-in community that
Mm-hmm.
you sell to, and which some of them do. Some of them, we have one customer, they did over $1 million in sales and had never run an ad. So they had affiliate traffic, people that were
Mm-hmm.
influencers online that drove traffic, and they would pay them a commission. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Um, I was thinking of something else and I forgot it. Um, yeah, it's not going to come back to me till we move on.
I'll ask the next question. Maybe that will
Sure.
spark it. So, talked about tactics that you can use to increase that customer engagement and also drive conversions. I think you touched on some of this already, but
Yeah, I can give a couple of little one, remember the text on the button matters. The color doesn't, other than that it needs to stand out. Um, yeah, what I was gonna say is getting your website optimized is literally the difference between making money or losing money with advertising. So, uh, our best referral partners are paid media companies because when we go in and we fix the
mm,
website, it converts better. They can scale ads. And I always tell people you do not have a traffic problem. If your site is converting at 1% or 2%, which is like the average, um, you had 100 people come to your site and 2 people bought.
mm,
Everybody is like, oh, I need to go get another 100 people so I can make 2 more sales. I'm like, you had 98 people that came to your website and left.
why?
There's probably 2 people in there that if you cleaned up your website, you would be able to sell to them, and then you just doubled your business. Same amount of
Hmm.
traffic spend. So it's not really the amount, it's how well it converts and how well of a job, how easy your site is to work with.
And I think too, it's important how uh, once you get that person that made the sale, that bought from you,
Yeah.
how you communicate your appreciation to them after, and how you treat them as that long-term, hopefully, customer. What's your marketing as follow-on, where it's just, as you said before, if you get to know that customer, what their needs are, you can start to market them additional products that may be of interest to them.
Yeah, that is once we have one thing working, that is our usually our next focus is to figure out what other items that they could use that we can add to the average order value in a congruent way.
Yeah. So when we talk about e-commerce and there's customer segmentation, how can you best optimize that, their conversion rates in this different segments that you're marketing to? Because your marketing message doesn't work, I wouldn't think, if it's just one size fits all.
Correct. Yeah. The nice thing is the CRMs, especially Shopify, now they become kind of the 800-pound gorilla. There's a CRM called Klaviyo, and
Hmm.
it's by far the best. And it literally, based off of what people buy, what actions they take on the site, etc., there's a million things that you can set it up to do
Hmm.
that will create all kinds of custom messages and flows that work off of whatever actions they took on the site, or even based off of what products they bought. So it knows that you can go, if they bought this product, then send them a campaign about this product, etc. And so that's really the back end of your store, which is the most profitable because you've already acquired the customer, should be a healthy 25 to 30% of your total revenue. Um,
Awesome.
and if that's the case, then you could have a store that breaks even on the front end, and you basically live off of what you do on the back end, which
Mhm.
is even better.
Yeah, that reoccurring. Um, you talked about that, knowing the customer, and so I wanted to just, as we are starting to wrap up here, I want to talk about using machine learning, or AI, to increase your conversion rates. I love all the things that are going on with AI. So if you could spend some time chatting about that, what you might use in your line of work, or recommend.
Yeah. So Shopify has like built-in product description with AI and a few other things. The advertising companies are starting to add it. Our work is a little different. So we're building a custom tool, which is one of those GPTs,
Hmm.
that actually ties into Google's API.
Awesome.
Because if we can look at data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and do it with this machine, which is way, way, way smarter than us,
It's true.
um, the nuggets that we can find and fix on the site, we really do believe that it's going to find a way to take that average store conversion from, I would say that the majority of our stores average up, between 4 and 5 to 6%, depending on their average order value. I would love to I'd love to, use AI and find a couple of tweaks that, because when we started, it was at 2 with everybody else, and we just kept getting better and better.
Hmm.
I think now using AI, that 6 to 8 or 9 is really not unreasonable. When you
Yeah.
think that those people clicked on an ad, they know what you're selling, they came there. Uh, there's only a couple of reasons why they would leave. How do we make that so seamless for them
Yeah.
that it's a no-brainer?
Perfect. Well, the one last, I guess, a rapid fire. So, how can, what metrics are you using now to really look daily, monthly, yearly, quarterly? What are the metrics that you would use to be able to determine your success and making sure that you are optimizing your conversions at that rate that you'd like?
Yeah, it sounds silly, but I would literally say the amount of money that you have left in your bank account after you've paid everybody. It's amazing how many people are growing and growing and growing. We look at their numbers, they're losing money. And
Mm,
because they're turning it over so fast and new money's coming in, they don't see it. And so,
yeah,
um, yeah, just really knowing your numbers matters a lot. It's insane how silly it is to say that, but it's true. I think revenue per user matters. Um, so if you see the revenue per user is going up, it means that you're moving in a good direction. Um, Certainly, conversion rate is an indicator, but it's actually not the one that you want to run everything by,
hmm,
uh, because that can go up and down day to day, week to
yeah,
week. And the other thing is, I can game that. So if I put everything on sale, what's going to happen? Your conversion rate went up, but did you make more money? No. You sold a bunch more product, but you didn't get the revenue per sale that you wanted.
Right.
So, how do we make the website work so good that they're willing to pay a little more? All of those, I just think, too many people look at the wrong numbers and they try to optimize for something that shouldn't even be there. It was Elon Musk said, you know, I think it was like rule number 2 or 3 and how he thinks. Number 2 was ask questions about what should and shouldn't be there. And then number 3 was to make sure not to optimize for something that shouldn't even be there. So you're
Yeah.
spending a whole bunch of time on something, fixing it, when in the grand scheme of things, that whole step needs to be removed.
It's like having a meeting for the sake of a meeting.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
stop
Definitely.
doing
Yeah.
it. Awesome. Well, it's time now for me to share my screen with contact information. If you have been enjoying this conversation and really want to know more and think that Matthew's company can really help you and you're curious, you want to get this contact information. For those that are just listening, you know that I will read you this contact information, but go grab that paper and pencil right now so you can write it down. But yes, all of it will be on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So please subscribe, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com. So again, the website is buildgrowscale.com. Again, buildgrowscale.com. On Facebook, you can find him at Matthew Jacob Stafford. On LinkedIn, he's matthewstafford.com, and that is spelled out. On Twitter, it's Build, Grow, Scale, initial capped. His podcast, which you want to make sure you subscribe to, is Building a Brand. Again, his podcast is Building a Brand. Please do subscribe. And I'm going to turn it over to Matthew to talk to you about the things that he has on his website that might interest you, resources and information that how to connect with him. And then he'll share with you a little bit about his social media, where he spends the most time, as well as some insights to what he puts out in his Building a Brand podcast. So Matthew, it's all yours. Go ahead, take it away.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So, I typically, I just want to provide value first. If we provide you plenty of value and you choose to do business with us, that's great. If not, that's still fine. I would say if you go to the buildgrowscale.com, there's all kinds of information there. There's a blog. So even buildgrowscale.com/blog, where you've put out high quality content and articles for years based off of the optimizations that we do and the wins, etc., that you can just literally have for free. Your site will certainly make more sales. And at that point, hopefully you're growing and then you'll need some help scaling it. And if that's where you get to, we'd love to help you. We don't do paid media. So I was talking to you earlier, Vicki, the majority of our best clients are the ones that are paid media companies that refer, their clients to us. So our goal is that your website works well, and converts more people to sales. And if that's what's happening when you use our resources, then you're winning.
Awesome. Well, Matthew, I enjoyed so much talking to you about marketing and conversion and taking a little bit step back in memory lane for our e-commerce early days.
Sure.
You shared a lot of wonderful tips for the audience. So I hope you all will go to his website, buildgrowscale.com, and definitely check out that Building a Brand podcast. All right. It is, as always, my time to say thank you and to remind everyone that life is a journey. It's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.